So, we have a Daisy Award this morning. Every Daisy Award is very special, but this one is even more special because it's two of our own recognizing one of our nurses. And so it makes it a very, very special Daisy. And I don't think this Daisy recipient is even caught on yet, but I think if she would look at this whole big family over here, Jessica, you might see who's getting the Daisy Award today. Come here,
What? Why are you hitting me?
all right. A little overwhelming.
Yeah.
You have a big family here. This is great. Yeah. All right, let me tell you a little bit about Daisy, because the family doesn't know, and maybe some of you haven't heard the story. But the Daisy Award was started in the year of 2000, and it was started by the family of Patrick Barnes. Patrick was a 33-year-old husband, new father, who sadly, after about 6 weeks in the hospital, passed away from complications of ITP. His family and Patrick are from the Seattle area, and his family, as most families do, kept vigil at his bedside, and they expected the nurses to be smart, and they expected the nurses to be competent and skilled. What absolutely touched their heart and blew them away was the compassion that they showed. And so after Patrick passed, the family said that one night they got together over a liquid dinner, trying to figure out how to honor the nurses, and they came up with the Daisy Award, Diseases Attacking the Autoimmune System. And they thought it would be a local award, and here it is 18 years later in every state of the United States and international. And today it's your award, so. And just so your family knows, we only give one of these awards a month, so it's pretty special. So I'm going to read to you why this month is you. You guys sure you want me to, take over on that? All right. So, Jim and Nanette. Okay. You remember?
Yeah.
Jimmy's hard to forget, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. On January 31st, my husband Jim was admitted. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get through this one, but okay. On January 31st, my husband Jim was admitted to the hospital after being diagnosed in the ER with a cancer diagnosis and complications that included broken ribs and compression fractures. He was in an incredible amount of pain. Our world had changed overnight, and needless to say, it was a scary time for both of us. At approximately 4 a.m. on February 2nd, I woke up to a phone call from the nursing supervisor that Jim was being taken for a CAT scan because they thought he was having what appeared to be seizure activity. When I arrived at the hospital, they were in the process of transitioning Jim from 4 West to critical care. When we got to critical care, there was a lot of activity, and I was introduced to Jessica, Jim's nurse. What I remember about the next couple hours was a lot of people in and out of the room and different tests being done as they tried to understand what was causing Jim's symptoms. The only consistent person in the room throughout the entire time was Jessica. She was friendly, but at the same time focused on the work that she needed to do. I remember being so impressed as I stood in the back of the room and watched Jessica and all the healthcare workers in the room attending to Jim and the care and concern with which they did it. At some point in the early morning, it was decided that the best thing for Jim was to be transferred to Mayo for further treatment. It was already past Jessica's shift. She had worked all night. I remember hearing her say that she wasn't going to leave and she was going to see Jim through the flight until the flight crew got there. As Jim's wife, I can't tell you what that meant to me. Even though she had worked all night and very well could have handed him off to the next nurse coming on, she stuck with Jim and worked with the other healthcare team as they prepared Jim for his transfer. She was committed to staying until she handed him off to the flight nurses, which she did. I'm sure it was another day for Jessica in the critical care unit, but I want her to know that Jim and I thank her for her skills and competence as a CCU nurse and the care and concern for what she demonstrated during the time that Jim was her patient. Thank you, Jessica, for being there for us when we needed you, and thank you for how you perform your job each and every day.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Doesn't get much better than that, does it? Well, so the one thing that you probably won't mind sharing, Jessica, is that Daisy comes with Kleenex, and so there's never usually a dry eye in the place. It also comes with a portfolio signed by the Barnes family and myself for you. You get a banner hung somewhere for a month with your name on it.
Front of the desk.
Front of the desk. A Daisy pin, which you should wear very proudly. Before I get to the best gift of all, are there cinnamon rolls somewhere? probably. I knew Jerry would know where they were.
Is there any left, Jerry?
One or two. So there's a couple cinnamon rolls left in the break room, and let me tell you the story a little bit about the cinnamon rolls. So when Patrick was still able to eat, his dad came in one day with one of those big gooey cinnamon rolls that you get at the malls, and intended to eat it for himself. And Patrick looked at his dad and said, "Wow, that looks really good. I think I'll have a bite," and proceeded to eat the whole thing. So after that, Patrick asked his dad to bring in cinnamon rolls for the nurses and him on a daily basis. We don't have Cinnabons here, so you have Hy-Vee cinnamon rolls, but what the Barnes family wants every single nurse out there to understand to them, again, how special you are. So their connection with cinnamon is every time you bake with cinnamon, every time you smell cinnamon, every time you taste cinnamon, to think about how special you are and how special the work is that you do. So cinnamon rolls, and then those daisies are for you as well. And then this gift. After all this time, I haven't broken a single one. I can't believe. So this is the Healer's Touch, and this is a partnership with artists in Zimbabwe, and they hand make this statue out of clay in their country for Daisy, and your artist is selling the back of it. And they are so proud to make this statue because, one, the healers are so important in their culture, and this partnership with Daisy feeds many, many impoverished families in that nation. So again, what would you like to say, Jessica, to the group? Anything? We are proud of you. Well, let's eat cinnamon rolls, right? All right, another round of applause.